with Trump running. So you don't think they're going to be able to stop him. They're going to try to figure out many creative ways. But knowing Trump, and you've spent a lot of time with him, your feeling is that he's most likely, if he runs, he doesn't feel neither one of those stories are going to get in the way.
Right. I think for Trump, it's really a double whammy. Number one, this is a guy who hates to lose. This is also a guy who's willing to lose, but if he feels that he was cheated, he is looking for vindication. I mean, for him, it's just as much about vindicating the Trump name and so this is why I think nothing will stop him. He's going to want the only way to stop him is sort of somehow to physically prevent him from being able to do it, locking him up, something like that, which the left I think is willing to do. They are terrified about this guy. There's a little bit of hope that maybe DeSantis will challenge Trump, and there are a few Republicans who take the view that DeSantis is basically Trump but with less hassles. It doesn't have some of the weaknesses of Trump, or he won't bring some of the baggage of Trump. And I think that may be true, but here's the other side of it, and that is that it's what I call animal magnetism. One time F. Scott Fitzgerald, the writer, was asked, do you think you have a privileged life? And he said, he goes, I don't have the best two things in life, but I've got the second best two things. He goes, I've got looks and I've got intelligence. But he goes, the best two things in life to have are money and animal magnetism. And by animal magnetism, he was actually thinking about Ernest Hemingway, where Ernest Hemingway could go to Spain. He's in the bullfight. Suddenly, he's he's there with the bull. I mean, the Spanish are like cheering Hemingway. He had that kind of, so Trump has that. If you have a big room, DeSantis walks in, let's just say he just walks in as an ordinary guy. Not a single head will move. Mm-hmm. Trump walks in, all heads turn. Reagan had the same. So that animal magnetism that Trump has is very difficult. If you don't have it, there's no easy way to get it.
Wow factor.
It's the wow factor.
So if these two both run, most likely you're thinking they're both going to run, Trump and DeSantis?
No, I think actually DeSantis very cleverly is positioning himself to either run with Trump or to run the next time around. With Trump or the next time around. So in other words, Trump-DeSantis, that would be the ticket. Yeah.
You think that's a likely scenario? Because a lot of people say that they're both number ones, and you can only have one CEO of a company. There's no co-CEO.
Yeah, but that's only true at one time. In other words, you can have one CEO, but Trump can only run for 4 years, and DeSantis has his whole life ahead of him. So for DeSantis, it's ultimately about when is the best time to make that lifetime move. Is it you want to run against Trump, where first of all the base of the Republican Party is very Trumpian. It's going to be kind of hard to beat Trump now with that base. On the other hand, if DeSantis went in and came in as a vice president, he would be the automatic presumptive front runner. Trump would be off the stage. So if I were DeSantis, that's what I would do.
Sure, but that's even with Biden and Kamala, he chose Kamala after the primary, or after the Republican RNC, meaning that was DNC, I apologize. That was after the debates, okay? So are you saying that DeSantis won't even go on the debate stage and just kind of wait in the wings for Trump to win and just be like, all right, I'll be your lucky little VP? Because I see him getting on that stage, don't you?
No, I think they'll. If I'm the way I'm thinking, and I've been following politics now very closely for a long time. There are different ways to pick a VP. When Reagan ran in 1980, Reagan picked Bush. Reagan didn't even know Bush. So why did he pick Bush? Bush was the second highest vote getter in the Republican Party. It was the logical choice. It didn't matter to Reagan. I don't know him. He goes, I'm going to pick my number two. He's going to be the guy most likely to carry me over the top. So now ask yourself, who's the guy most likely to help carry Trump over the top and convince even doubting Republicans that here's a competent elected official that kind of knows how to cross the T's and dot the I's, that will help Trump with some of what may be seen as Trump's weaknesses. And the obvious guy is DeSantis. He knows how to run a state.
What's so funny, Pat?
Oh my God! If that I don't know. But if that were to happen, let me tell you, I mean, it's a nightmare for the left for 12 years. If that were to happen, for 12 years, the left will need to see their therapist 2 or 3 times a week instead of the 1 a week. Yeah, it's because they're both vindication type of guys. Both of them are.
Yeah.
DeSantis is, so is Trump. You don't want those two to be your opponent for 12 years. They're not the type of people that are going in just to, there's different types of people in life. There are those that are resume chasing. Resume chasers want to be able to say, I worked at Google. I worked at Amazon. I worked under XYZ. I worked under this person. There's resume chasers that go get their PhD or master's or MBA just to say, I got a master's. I got a this. There's resume chasers that want to go to Oxford or Yale or Harvard to say, I went there. I went to Wharton. They're resume chasers, right? They're resume chasers that eventually just want to be CPAs or CFOs or CEOs one time just to say, I was. And then you got guys that are crusaders and true believers that are not chasing a title or resume. And that's DeSantis and Trump. Neither one of those guys are chasing that. Biden, for the rest of his life, will be a president. That's just going to be in the history books. He's a resume chaser. He, for the rest of his life, is going to be that. There's people like that on the left. There's people like that on the right. There's people like that in sports. There's people like that in politics. There's people like that in churches. There's people like that everywhere. Not these two families. These two guys are very weird, very different. You do not want, there's certain people in life you don't want as enemies. Those two you don't want as enemies. If that were to happen, which I don't know if that would happen, because in a perfect world, like, are you selling this or are you saying this based on insight, or are you saying this based on, I think this will happen? What's your position when you're saying this?
Yeah, I'm not advocating it. I think it will happen.
Oh, okay, got it.
And the reason I'm saying it is not, again, this is not my field. I'm not a pollster. I'm not a, but what it is, it's just based upon the observation. There are certain natural laws in politics, as in foreign policy, right? For example, years ago when I was in college, a professor of mine said, look, let's look at the map of the world, okay? And let's forget about communism and capitalism and left wing and right wing, and let's just look at the world is divided into big blobs and small blobs. There are big countries, they're big blobs, big circles. Then there are small countries around them, those are small blobs. Now, based upon just looking at the world like that and knowing nothing about it, you're from Mars. Can you predict how this world will shake out? Which countries would be allied with which countries will be fighting with which countries? And the truth of it is, you can have a whole seminar where you see that the big countries are all rivals, and the small countries now ally with the big countries near them to become, in order to get protection, but other small countries that are likely to be gobbled up will try to find big countries elsewhere that can support them, and then you look at the world and it's happening like that, So similarly, when you look at American politics and you say to yourself, everyone's thinking in terms of their own self-interest. And if you look at DeSantis and you say, I'm DeSantis, I'm the number 2 guy, do I actually want to run against the number 1 guy right now? And run the risk where if I lose, I'm bruised enough that other people now start coming to the front, and the sort of MAGA mentality will now, so that the next time around it may be Kerry Lake. I don't want that. I want to make sure that I am the only guy that is on the inside track and nobody will even dare to challenge me. The way I do that is I essentially go into Trump's tent, recognizing that for Trump, there's only one more time to go around the block.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.